I just wanted to say that I'm not very good at music analysis. That's how I want to start this. But in this video, I want to talk about how I can get better at music analysis. I'm going to try to talk about different things I can think of and what I like about them. As far as I like new wave music, that's like Duran Duran and Howard Jones and The Clash and um, a whole bunch of bands. It's New Order, it's new wave music. Talking Heads, new wave music. There's actually a whole bunch, and it's mostly new wave music is what a lot of what early to mid '80s music was made up of. Most early to mid '80s music is new wave music. Up until about 1986. 1986, it's well, really up until about 1987. 87, it started to change to more to like hip hop and heavy metal and all that stuff. Those more American genres. Um, Maybe I'll title this video "New Wave Music" because I guess I've been wanting to talk about new wave for a while. Um, and it's kind of like a big topic, new wave music, because I think the new wave, which was the second British wave, the first British wave was the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Monkees and all them, but the second British wave was the Police and all that stuff that came about 10 to 15, 20 years after the first British wave. Excuse me. Um, but I really like new wave music. I like it more than the first wave of British music. I'm not a big Beatles fan, to be honest, but I really like the Police. I'm like a big Police fan. I'm a big Sting fan. Sting solo work, Sting group work with the Police. I like anything Sting. The Police, Sting, anything's good. I'm not as big of a Beatles fan. All their music sounds cheesy, to be honest. It just like like Beatles music sounds cheesy to me. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Um, Rolling Stones sound music sound okay, but they sound like edge lords. If you listen to Rolling Stones, they just sound like edge lords. They're not really saying anything cutting or really getting anything to the point. Whereas New Wave, I think, has very articulate lyrics and very poignant ways of saying things, and then the beats are hip. They're moving fast. It's got really good beats on New Wave. Um, so uh, I started to think, what else could I say about New Wave? Well, it's like it's kind of fast paced music. I think compared to other types of rock, it's kind of fast paced rock. It's infused with Jamaican ska music. There's a lot of ska in new wave, um, but a lot of it just like pure pop, pure synth pop. There's a lot of synth pop in new wave. They're actually using the latest synthesizers. They actually use saxophones, lots of horns, lots of horns. Um, and they're very good at the horns. Like I feel like when the Beatles had horns in their songs, the Beatles didn't use horns well. Whereas in New Wave, when they have horns, it's done well. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why New Wave people can play horns, but the Beatles can't play horns. I couldn't tell you why. I just think New Wave people knew how to play horns. Uh, the guitar playing is better. The synthesizers were better. I think the Beatles had some synthesizers, early synthesizers, but the technology wasn't there yet, and that's not their fault. It wasn't the Beatles' fault, but the technology wasn't there in the '60s to make it have really good synth pop sound. And And the funny thing is, we have the technology today to make it, but they don't even make synth pop like they did in the '80s because it's like th- they forgot how to make it good as good as they did in the new wave days. So they don't make as good music as they did in the '80s because um, I mean they could have synth pop if they want to create synth pop today, but they don't know how. They honestly don't know how to make new wave music that's like it's like it was in the '80s. It's really sad. So like British, there's a lot of great British singers in the '80s. Um, they sounded like they were honestly trying to sound black. Most British singers from the new wave movement sounded like they were trying to sound black. Like Sting in particular was trying to sound like Bob Marley. I think Sting was trying to sound like Bob Marley. Um, uh, who else? So yeah, there's just a lot of great singers from the new wave movement. So I think I'm running out of things to say. It's very black inspired from their singing styles. Um, Not to be discriminatory, but it has, even though it's like they're like all white, the people who made new wave music, you could tell they listened to a lot of African American music. You can tell they listened to a lot of that. Even though the new wave people were basically all white. The only black new wave person I can think is General Public, like that one black guy in General Public. He's the only black guy I can think of in new wave. But I do like R&B. By the way, I'm not just like, oh, I only like white music. No, I love R&Bs. I love Quiet Storm. I love smooth jazz like Sade. I love Peabo Bryson. I love R&B just as much as I love new wave. Um, it's just different styles. Um, so yeah, Peabo Bryson is probably my favorite artist of all time. Maybe it's possible. I think Peabo Bryson might be my favorite of all time. But so I'm trying to do music analysis in this video. Do I have anything left to say about um, uh, new wave or well, new wave kind of disappeared after a while. There was a third wave of ska in the '90s that wasn't really anything like the new wave music. I mean, it was more like I don't know. It was different. It was less synthesizers in the '90s ska, but it was fine. Nothing wrong with that. I don't mind ska. Ska's fine, but I like ska, but it's just the '80s new wave was really good. I think that it makes me feel jealous of the people who lived through the '80s. I wasn't actually alive in the '80s, so I don't actually. I wasn't actually there when they were making that music. I was there in the '90s though, and the '90s was a very good time for music as well. I'm a big fan of '90s music because I grew up with '90s music. So I was a big fan of that stuff. But and to land it here, I don't want to give too much personal information away. Thank you for watching. I give new wave music 2 thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.